Welcome to the Fit Life for Busy Parents podcast. My name is Camden, the CEO of Title Training, and my mission here is simple. I want to empower you as busy working parents to go out there and reclaim energy, identity, and confidence through a series of proven strategies. So, today we were talking about a topic that I had to come to grips with as someone who was a major advocate for a lot of diets, a lot of strategies that were simply causing me to starve myself to death, that ultimately held me back and got me to this very, very, very vivid memory that I have of a day when I stepped onto the scale. I had been to the T, guys, I'm telling you, to the T. I had been locked in with my calories. I had been hitting my running goals for that week. I had been hitting the gym 2 days a week, sometimes even during that point, right? And 2 days a week, 2 days, 2 times per day at certain points during that stretch. And I was going up on the scale, eating about 900 to 1,000 calories per day. Right? So imagine my disbelief when I'm standing there. I see how little I'm eating, right? I see how much I'm pushing myself in the gym. I know how exhausted I am, how hungry I am all the time. And I'm seeing that number on the scale not dramatically increase, but 180.2, 180.3, 180.6, 181, right? Just slowly but surely going up. And what I want to be able to help you guys out with today is why that is the case, one, and two, why this has caused so many people, not just you, but so many other people, to believe that either their hormones are the issue, that they are unable to lose weight, that dieting is too hard, that it's their body type, right? So many different things. But truly, it comes down to just overstarving yourself and messing up what you honestly have inside of you to be able to lose that weight. So what we're focusing on is extreme calorie restrictions, right? That lead to weight gain, plateaus, and frustration, okay? So the first common misconception that we want to be able to talk about here is that eating less and less will guarantee weight loss. This is not true at all. We're going to get into the reasons why, but this is a bold-faced lie, okay? It is true that if you are eating at maintenance calories or in a surplus, that once you go into a calorie deficit, you will lose weight, right? That is factual. But continuing to say, hey, I lost a certain amount of weight and I'm not losing anymore, I need to go lower, 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 is not necessarily the case, okay? And in reality, extreme calorie restrictions can lower your metabolism, right? That's why lowering it always won't work, harm your body, and lead to poor results, okay? So we're going to go over a number of the reasons why, but let's talk about some of these first ones, okay? So starvation slows down metabolism. So just to kind of like preface this, right? Your metabolism is the amount of calories that you burn, right? Doing whatever you do throughout the day, right? So your total daily energy expenditure, okay? So some of these calories are things that are going to happen no matter what, right? And those are just like calories that you're burning, meaning like having your brain function, right? Having your lungs expand and contract, having your heart contract, right? All these things, right? Some of those are them. Some of them are from activity that you do that's not necessarily exercise, right? So like moving, right? So like getting up and going to the bathroom, right? You're burning calories, right? Walking into the other room, cooking, right? All these things are calories that you are burning, right? They're not necessarily exercise, but they're calories, right? Then you have your actual exercise calories that you burn, right? And those are going to be excess calories, right? Extra calories that you burn there. And then you also just have it from like food as well, right? The thermic effect of food. So like when your stomach has food in it, right? And it's kind of contracting, it's breaking down, right? It's doing all those things to be able to use that as fuel. That also burns some calories, right? That's why if you've ever heard people be like, oh yeah, like eating celery, you burn more calories than you actually intake, right? That's kind of like the philosophy behind that, right? So that is what we're talking about in terms of metabolism, okay? So your body's goal, no matter what, right? I'm not talking about just with metabolism. I'm talking about with everything, is to maintain equilibrium to ensure survival, right? So think about it. If you get really, really, really hot, right, because you have a fever, what does your body do? It has the response of sweating, right? And the reason why it responds to sweating is because the cold, right, or the water on you, right, plus the normal air is going to cool you down, right? So that's why we have those things. So that's happening throughout your entire body all the time, is trying to create that equilibrium, right? Same thing is true with your metabolism. So if you're having a metabolism, right, let's say at 2,200 calories, right, and you're eating at 1,700 calories, cool, right? That metabolism will eventually come down a little bit, right, to try to meet it, right? But if you have 2,200 calories and you're eating 1,200 calories, right, it's going to take a little bit longer to get there, but ultimately it's going to come down to 1,200 calories eventually. It's not going to be like, oh, well, that's too much and I need to keep burning things. Your body will find a way to be able to adjust that metabolism. So your metabolism adjusts to burning fewer calories, and your body prioritizes storing fat as a protective mechanism, right? And the reason why that is because think about what fat is, right? Fat is stored energy for, right, like a famish, right? When you don't have any energy coming in, right? So if you actually like consciously, right, not due to environmental factors, but you decide, hey, I'm not going to eat very many calories, right? Like how I said in the example in the beginning, I eat 900 to 1,000 calories. You're putting yourself in a famish by choice, right? But your body's going to say, okay, this fat on me is for survival in a famish. So now if I'm in a famish, I'll use some of it, of course, right? Your body's not going to not use any of it. But I'm going to also try to prioritize keeping this as much as possible, right? Because how long is this famish going to go on for? And let me find other ways of being able to bring down that metabolism, right? Let me go ahead and break down muscle, right? Let me go ahead and make sure that he's super tired so that he doesn't want to go and do more cardio, right? It's impossible for him to go and do that. He can't even do things like twiddle his fingers, right? Maybe he has to sit down more often, right? Little things that you might not even notice, right? Your foot twitching, right? Whatever, those little tiny things, right? That maybe don't make a ton of calories individually, but over a course of a day can start to add up, right? All those things are going to become a lot harder for you to do. And that is going to protect that protective mechanism, right? It's going to keep the fat. So now your plateau, right, continues despite being consistent with a calorie cutting, right? So that's really what's happening here, is that starvation slows down your metabolism, and it does that in a number of ways. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into those, but we're going to keep moving on for just the sake of time here, okay? So the body doesn't feel safe to lose fat. Now, this is kind of what I talked about here, right? Because of the starvation mode, your body doesn't feel safe to be able to let go of all that fat. It's going to try to find other ways. So your body reduces energy expenditure to conserve calories. Signs include fatigue, lack of motivation, right? Lack of motivation is more of just kind of like a mindset one, right? But again, it's still your body working in mysterious ways, right? To be able to say, hey, like, I'm fatigued, right? I don't want to go and do that. That's going to be hard to do. I'd just rather not do it, right? And then reduce your physical activity, right? Again, could be little things like moving your hands, moving your feet. Could also be things like, I need to go sit down, and normally you'd walk around a little bit further, right? So just feeling overall fatigued. And it can also do other adaptations, right? Muscle is being broken down for energy, decreasing your overall calories burned. Because remember, your body, right, having muscle on it, muscle needs to be nourished, right? It needs to continue to have calories sent towards it to be able to keep it nice and strong. If it's actually breaking it down, right, and saying, hey, I don't have enough calories for you to even be nourished, but I'm actually going to break you down to be able to use this energy. Well, now, right, 2, 3, 5 days later, 6 weeks later, whatever, right, you now have less muscle on your frame, right? You now burn less calories, and that's going to lead to a harder plateau. Now, initially, right, let's be honest, you're going to step on the scale when you're breaking down that muscle, and you're going to notice a bigger loss on the scale. But let's be honest about what we actually want out of this journey, right? You are not saying, I want to be 120 pounds and have no muscle, right? Or I'm a male, I'm 150 pounds, 160 pounds with no muscle, right? Almost everybody wants a level of muscle. They might not want to be the Hulk or Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they want a level of muscle, right? If you don't have that muscle, you're going to have more loose hanging skin, right? Again, your metabolism is going to be lower, which means that if you go back to eating at normal calories, right, instead of 900 to 1,000, you eat 1,600 again. That's now a huge calorie surplus, and you're gaining fat again, right? All those things end up adding up. Okay, so muscle being broken down is one of the worst ways that you can lose weight. Of course, it's going to make the scale go down quicker. Not going to lie to you, right? But you're also going to gain it back a lot. And that's why people who do keto diets, especially because they go in such a huge calorie deficit, cutting out carbs, right, are going to break down muscle a lot quicker. They also going to have huge rebound effects in terms of weight gain because, again, metabolism came down. It came down harder. You don't continue to burn the calories from the muscle, etc. Okay. Hunger signals intensify, making the deficit even more unsustainable, right? That just basically means you're getting more hungry, right? You're more hungry. It's going to be harder for you to have that discipline, right? You're going to have the lack of motivation. You're going to have the fatigue. You're going to start getting moody. You're going to start getting hangry, right? And before long, that calorie deficit is not sustainable. You have to go and eat something. And again, because we broke down the muscle, because the metabolism's come down, now that cheat day, right? That 2,300 calories before was doing nothing for me. It was no problem. I could do it all the time. As you continue to lose that muscle mass, now your metabolism comes down. Now that 2,300 calories is all of a sudden, right, a cheat day that's causing you to gain a ton of weight. Now you're having the issues, right? You're hitting that plateau, you're gaining weight, you're getting frustrated, and then you completely given up, and that's where people gain a ton of weight back. They may lose 30 or 40 pounds doing keto or a super restrictive diet, and then over the course of the next 2 years, they end up gaining 70, 80, 90 pounds. And now they're like, what happened, right? The metabolism dropped too much. That's what happened. Okay. Loss of muscle mass, right? So the impact on the calorie burn, more muscle burns more calories than fat at rest, right? And that's just a fact. Your body doesn't have to keep that much calories, right, and nourish the fat. The fat is calories, right? It doesn't need the extra energy to be able to be used, right? Now, to move it, right, meaning to move your body, yes, you might need a little bit more calories. But again, if you're continuing to be in a calorie surplus and continuing to be on, eating over your metabolism, right, you're going to continue to put more and more and more on, okay? Muscle does not do that, right? It does make it easier to be able to move. And on top of that, burns more calories at rest. Okay, so losing muscle further reduces your metabolism, right? And then the visual impact, right? Losing weight from muscle instead of fat can lead to you looking less toned, less healthy. Your eyes droop in, right? Your face sinks in. You just don't look overall healthy. Right, and that's what people want. People don't want to lose the weight because they're so worried about getting, a big chain and putting the scale on their neck like Flava Flav and being like, "Oh man, I'm 150 pounds. Look, guys, right?" They want to walk around at the beach and feel confident. They want to be able to show up to the family barbecue and feel good, right? They want to be able to go on vacation, not worry about, oh, do I, fit into the seat? Can I sit at the restaurant, right? Can I go into a booth instead of like an actual seated table, right? Those are the things that people want. So looking at a sustainable approach here, what are we going to do instead of that, right? Being in a modest calorie deficit, right? This is what we advocate for here at Tidal Training. Being a 400 to 500 calorie deficit is going to be enough to promote fat loss without triggering the starvation mode, without having all the negative effects, right? Because if you think about it, 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So if you're in a 500 calorie deficit 7 days a week, that's 3,500 calories. Having that slight modest calorie deficit, right? Which for some people means that they're just eating 1,900 calories, 2,000 calories, 2,200 calories, right? 2,400 calories, right? Can be a big enough of a calorie deficit to be able to continue to lose weight, continue to be able to prioritize keeping the muscle on, continue to prioritize having enough energy to feel good and go to the gym and do the other things that you need to do, right? And that's going to be more advantageous for keeping your metabolism higher, not having your hunger, right? Not making it unsustainable, etc. Secondly, we want to focus on protein intake, right? Again, building up muscle takes protein, right? The breakdown of protein is into amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of connective tissue, aka muscle, right? So if we're focusing on having at least a moderate protein consumption, it doesn't have to be a lot, right? For people that are eating 2,000 calories, they're eating 150 grams of protein, right? 150 grams of protein means only 600 of those 2,000 calories are going towards protein. Everything else, the other 1,400 calories are going towards carbs and fats, whatever they want, right? So being able to just have a moderate amount of protein, right, is going to preserve the muscle mass and continue to keep you full longer, right? That's another huge benefit of protein. It's going to make sure that 400 or 500 calorie deficit doesn't feel as strenuous as it would otherwise because you're not hungry all the time. You're not having huge sugar spikes. You're not having all that food that goes into your system just fly through your system, right? It's actually sitting there, it's breaking down, it's taking longer, right? And then focusing on progressive overload workouts, right? They don't have to be long. They can be 30 minutes, 3 times a week, right? But focusing on increasing weights or increasing the reps, right? So if you did 205 pounds on bench press the week before for 3 reps, then we go for 200 or 205 and we get 4 or 5 reps, right? Maybe we go to 225 a couple weeks later and we're doing 4 or 5 reps, right? Etc. So it's about building up a little bit more strength, right? And being able to do more reps. And then in terms of cardio, 10,000 steps per day. That's all you need to be able to do, right? If you can do more, sure, no problem. But you don't need to be doing lots of running, lots of jogging, lots of cycling, doing ultra runs, right? Ultra marathons, any of those things. Those aren't advantageous because again, this is going to give you the baseline of calories burn. It's not going to cause you to have the hunger cues spike up, which running, jogging, cycling, all those things are going to make your hunger cues go up because you're ripping muscle at the same time. It's another workout, right? And having those intense cardio sessions make it harder to stay in your calorie deficit. It burns a lot more calories, but here's the thing about cardio, right? When you strength train and you prioritize that, your muscle rips, right? But then it also needs to recover, right? So it's going to take a lot longer, right? It's going to take a lot longer to recover. You're going to burn a lot more calories there, right? Because not only is the muscle ripped and it needs to build back up, but then also now you have the nourished muscle that needs to continue to be nourished, right? When you are doing a lot of cardio, you're doing more muscle protein breakdown, right? Which means that you're ripping the muscle to an extent, right? It's also increasing the hunger by a ton. And again, you're not being able to build up the muscle the same way because it's not ripping in the same way, right? It is using your muscle glycogen, right? But it's not ripping like that. It's just more burning the calories while you're doing the cardio. And then again, now you're done with the cardio, you're not burning any more calories. When you do the strength training, you rip the muscle, you have to continue to build it up. And then that is going to cause you to continue to burn the calories over the entire rest of the week, right? And going on and going forward, right? So those are the things that we want to focus on. So why this works, metabolic health, right? The body feels safe to release fat because it's not in a survival state, right? It's also going to keep the metabolism high, right? So then that continues to make our body feel like, hey, I need to continue to use fat, right? We're in a slight calorie deficit. And again, it's going to help you with so many other things. I want to make sure I'm not jumping ahead here. But yeah, so it doesn't talk about it here. So the other things that it's going to do is it's going to give you more energy, right? Because you're actually feeling your body. You actually feel good. You're actually feeling like, hey, I'm doing the right things here. I feel positive. I have good mood. I have good energy, right? All those things are going to be also beneficial for your metabolic health, right? So long-term sustainability. Muscle preservation leads to better progressive progress visually and metabolically, right? So again, you're going to keep that metabolism high. You're also going to continue to burn the calories from the muscle, and then again, you just look better, right? Not even just visually because you have muscle, but also from like the skin, right? The loose hanging skin. If you have a lot of chest muscle, right, particularly the upper chest, right, for men, it's going to pull the chest up. And this is going to help for women too, right? If you have more muscle in your shoulders as well, that's going to stretch the skin here, right? So now you don't have just that muscle in the chest that's going to be, or that skin in the chest that's going to be pulled up, but it's also going to start pulling from the stomach, right? Because again, all these things are connected. The skin is not individual, right? It's all interconnected. So that's going to help you. It's also going to have less hunger and fatigue, making it easier to stick to the plan, and then you're going to get better results, right? Balanced, sustainable approach leads to fat loss without the rebound weight gain. So you're never going to have to worry about as much the fact of weight gain, other than if you just start going into an extreme calorie surplus again, right? So the main thing that I want to really prioritize here, guys, to really make sure that I drive this home, is stop punishing yourself and your body with starvation, but instead fuel your body to make it thrive, right? Allow yourself to have some of your favorite foods. Allow yourself to have some fun. Allow yourself to feel like, hey, I can actually do this, right? I am worth enjoying my food. I am worth being able to make sure that I can go out there and get this done once and for all for myself, right? I'm worth being able to have fun, enjoyability with my results, right? And then you get better results, right? You want to make sure that you commit to this moderate calorie deficit, right? You strength train, and that your daily activity for sustainable improved results is continuing to be top priority, right? So you've got to continue to stick to these things. You don't want to just do them for a time being and then fall off of them, right? The modest calorie deficit shouldn't be that difficult to stick to, right? The strength training 3 days a week for 30 minutes shouldn't be that hard to stick to, right? And then doing 10,000 steps per day becomes part of your daily routine, and then you're not even worried about it anymore. So not only is this going to help you lose the weight and keep it off, this is also going to give you a lifestyle that's going to help you. It's going to help your kids. It's going to help your family members. It's going to help your friends, your colleagues, your community, etc. by leading by example. So let's go out there and for our community, for our loved ones, for our family, turn one day into a lifestyle. I hope this was helpful. Make sure you guys subscribe so you never miss another episode, and let's continue to turn one day into a lifestyle.